The story unfolds with a guy named Styles facing a death sentence for a crime he didn't commit despite his honesty, religious beliefs, and honorable service as a soldier. He finds himself strapped down awaiting a lethal injection as a priest offers him the chance to confess his sins. Styles vehemently denies the murder accusation. The injection follows and a doctor confirms his apparent demise, yet to everyone's shock Styles revives. Bewildered by his unexpected survival, questioning why he's been spared, he learns that his military background grants him a peculiar opportunity. He can opt for a mysterious medical experiment instead of immediate death. Feeling honored, Sargeant Styles reluctantly agrees to the enigmatic procedure, unsure of what it entails. Thus his journey takes an unforeseen turn, plunging him into a realm of uncertainty and unforeseen consequences as he grapples with the choices forced upon him. Shortly, Crystal arrives to assess him. As she examines him, he refutes the charges against him in spite of her protests, but she refuses to believe him after watching his trial on television. She accuses him of taking the lives of 11 innocent people. He responds with a startling revelation, admitting that he took lives while on duty but insisting that he was set up for political purposes. He begs her to look past the facade, but she refuses to believe anything and is adamant that her conviction won't change anything in an effort to allay her fears. When asked about the objective of these tests, she blows off his plea and goes on to take samples of his skin, hair, and blood for medical analysis. He adds that believing him could help settle her shaky hands. She ducks, saying she doesn't have the knowledge needed, and then she leaves the room, leaving him in the dark. Dr. Cryle was overwhelmed by instructions for doing medical experiments. When she took in the minute details, her astonishment was evident. The experiment's leader revealed their plan to genetically combine Sargeant Styles' DNA with the alien entities in order to metamorphose Styles into an alien in order to evaluate the potential threat. They emphasized the classified nature of the endeavor and emphasized to her the necessity for secrecy while acknowledging the possibility of Sargeant Styles changing into an alien. Dr. Crystal expressed doubts about his capacity to withstand the subsequent agony. After a senior officer showed in, setting off a combative confrontation, it was implied that Styles, a former soldier, had disobeyed a direct order because he believed it to be morally correct, which led to his punishment. However, when Dr. Cryle entered their conversation, she learned vital information that Styles was innocent of the alleged murder as the experiment's grim reality revealed itself to him. Styles was overcome with disbelief. His once unwavering trust in the general's integrity was shattered in the face of this revelation. The general was struck by regret and compassion and found it difficult to control his feelings. He said goodbye to Styles and walked out of the room with trembling hands, clearly in pain. The physician was ready to give the transformational shot. Styles, caught away by his unexpected act of grace, clung to his faith despite the oncoming trauma, gripping a Bible to his chest and forgiving the doctor for her upcoming deeds. Styles wakes up to excruciating pain, which is quickly followed by vomiting. The doctors rush to try to give him another injection, but Styles is in so much agony that he finds his face contorting and a tooth coming loose. Despite this, Styles keeps telling himself, "You can change your body, but not your essence." Meanwhile, Dr. Crystal steels herself and gives the injection, weighing the weight of her decision heavily on her conscience. He is comforted by her that she will stop giving him needles, begs for clothing, and adamantly maintains his innocence of the murder. When he shows Dr. Crystal his hand, she recoils in amazement. Styles experiences severe bodily changes over the next few days, his temperament becoming more hostile as he continually asserts his innocence. Sprout from his skin, Dr. Crystal notices his quick mental development and realizes that the intense agony forces him to fervently declare his innocence in confessions. Styles loses consciousness and collapses to the ground, shocking the medical staff, who then tries desperately to resuscitate him with electric shocks but is unsuccessful. In a startling change of events, Dr. Crystal, overcome with regret, apologizes for putting him through such suffering. It's remarkable how abruptly Styles regains consciousness. The medical staff and military personnel stand in amazement as they realize that Styles has developed a new heart in the upcoming part of the movie. Dr. Crystal explains Styles' special abilities to the person in charge of the experiment. She mentions that Styles possesses a remarkable ability to adapt that surpasses that of ordinary humans by a factor of 3. She also notices a shift in his physiology. His heart now beats in an unexpected location. He has undergone a complete metamorphosis, giving him 5 times the strength of the typical human and remarkable oral acuity that allows him to hear conversations from a distance. Styles' successful escape from the room leaves Dr. Crystal in disbelief, but it soon becomes clear that the generals planned his escape in order to use him as a test subject for a sinister experiment to see how well they could hunt down and eradicate extraterrestrials. As Styles retreats into the neighboring woods, Dr. Crystal is furious at this revelation and feels tricked and controlled by the generals who rejected her efforts. As a military unit pursues Styles in an audacious attempt to seize him, he notices his reflection in a river and reminds himself of the essence of his being, proclaiming that they may change his physical shape but not his spirit. In order to confront the generals, Styles kidnaps one of the troops and seizes control of his radio. He tells them that he has no intention of hurting anyone and that he is aware of their hidden intentions in planning his escape. Though Styles showed mercy by freeing the captives, the generals are shocked by his unexpected defiance. Tragic events befall the pursuing soldiers as they murder the defenseless man by mistake, believing him to be. As Styles witnesses this tragic turn of events, he is overcome with grief. Dr. Crystal criticizes the generals' actions, emphasizing that their approach will not provide any genuine insights into Styles' nature. Instead, the general acknowledges Dr. Crystal's perspective, but he remains resolute in his mission to capture Styles, embarking on a solitary pursuit to achieve his objectives. The soldiers continue to search for Styles, and as they do, strange noises fill the air, unsettling everyone. As the soldiers search for Styles, the leader unexpectedly finds himself grabbed from behind by Styles. Styles clings to him tightly and insists that he tell everyone who he is out of concern for his safety. The leader identifies Styles as a sergeant and maintains his innocence, saying higher authorities have set him up. In another scene, Dr. Crystal is astonished when Styles enters her tent before she can respond. Styles' silence is heard to keep anyone from knowing he's there. Suddenly, Styles disappears without hurting anyone, leaving the troops perplexed. Dr. Crystal worries about Styles' apology for the predicament he's in. Styles confides in her, asking her if she thinks he's a killer. Styles confides in Dr. Crystal, expressing his need to hear such words before leaving, and she reassures him of his innocence, giving him comfort in her belief. Styles feels relieved to know that someone trusts him. Dr. Crystal gives him hope by speculating that she might be able to stop his metamorphosis. Styles, who was first dubious, finally concedes and becomes enthralled with the prospect of regaining his humanity. Styles decides to meet with Dr. Crystal the next day to start the process, insisting that she do so even though she acknowledges that it is questionable whether her attempt to suppress the genetic changes that have changed Styles will be successful. Styles and Dr. Crystal consider the journey ahead as the night goes on. For Styles, it's a chance to reclaim his lost identity and freedom from suspicion. For Dr. Crystal, it's a chance to demonstrate her scientific prowess and assist a troubled soul. The meeting scheduled for the following day is both full of promise and uncertainty. The next day, Styles meets Dr. Crystal. While she gets ready for the task ahead, she waits for Dr. Crystal with hope and caution. The dawn of a new day brings with it the possibility of transformation, both literal and metaphorical, as they set out on a journey to restore what was lost. He's holding a gun tight because he thinks someone is following her. He asks if she brought the injection, which Dr. Styles confirms. She goes to get it and starts to administer it, but Styles stops her when he notices her trembling hand. He asks if the injection can turn him back into a human, but she tells him it's a deadly sedative and begs him not to hurt her. Reluctantly, he releases her unharmed, inclining her attempts to apologize, saying that one betrayal is sufficient. The general chastises Styles for his failure, but he vigorously disputes. The generals, amazed by his determination, get ready to kill him. Styles surrenders, raising his hands. Suddenly, a sharp noise breaks their concentration, rendering them all helpless. Suddenly, a large number of aliens that resemble Styles appear, startling onlookers. One of them approaches Styles and puts a hand on his shoulder. Then, in an instant, both Styles and the aliens vanish. The generals are happy that the aliens have vanished, but Dr. Crystal is dejected after realizing how inadequate humans are. As we consider this story, let us consider the depths of trust and betrayal, the human spirit's resilience in the face of adversity. Join us on this journey of exploration and discovery where every encounter is a lesson and every choice is a revelation that inspire wonder. Dr. Crystal and the generals are left fuming at their inadequacy. Leave a comment and subscribe to receive updates on more gripping stories.